You are listening to Think Theory Radio.
Hello and welcome to Think Theory Radio, the show that brings you topics outside the mainstream realm of thought and ideas to make you think. And I'm your host, Damian Perdue, your radio guide on this audio ride of digital delights. And, of course, I'm joined by Paulie C.
Yo.
And also Henry E.
Oh, there we go. Sorry. There
we
he
go.
is.
That.
And it worked out perfectly for the topic today, which is social media, social engineering, brain rot, and the dead internet theory. And just so happens we have 3 generations of CPT workers.
Yeah.
Or radio heads.
There we go.
Think theory people.
Yeah. I'm Gen X. We got what'd you call yourself? Zennial,
Zennial, Xennial,
Xennial, Millennial,
old millennial, young Gen X.
Millennial.
In between, old millennial.
That sounds like some kind of liquor, some really bad. You ever had old millennial?
After a tough
bourbon?
day, belly up to the bar and get a shot of old millennial.
There we go.
Old millennial.
Tastes like complaints. I don't know.
Tastes like
Sorry.
brain rot.
Yeah, I don't know what would be the millennial joke on that one.
Brain rot gut.
Is millennial brain rot? I feel like millennial would be like a different aspect of it.
I think
don't know.
I think brain rot is more.
It's the most generic
It's like Z
tasting
right now.
whiskey. I don't know.
Yeah.
There was the same stuff, but it was just like in like that time frame though, you know.
Yeah.
It was just called something different, but like,
Yeah.
you know, it still existed.
Yeah.
We have all destroyed our brains.
Yes. And it is actually. Oh yeah. And Henry is
Henry's
also the
Gen
third
Z or
generation. Gen Z,
millennial, young millennial to
young
Gen
millennial to Gen Z, Gen's Alpha.
Yeah.
Zennial.
I'm representing everybody.
But we're about 10 years apart each.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
figure it's a good amalgam of, people who have used the internet, who came up in different eras of prevalence with internet and social media and how it's affected our lives and everything, but also the concept of social engineering through social media, manipulation, but also what is brain rot? Is it real? Is it just clickbait? Is it something just topical? And then it'll lead into the dead internet theory because it kind of is the end game, I guess. Could be, right? Could be.
Feels like it.
But first off, how did we get here? The internet began in 1968.
No, wait, I thought it was 1945 or whatever with
ARPANET. I think.
yeah, is that the World War II communications or whatever?
Yeah, well, I know ARPANET was the first military.
When Al Gore made a wish as a little boy.
And then, fast forward to, it is interesting that you have, it's a military aspect, but also then like scientific research. So the, Scientific Research Center, CERN in Switzerland, in France, is where the World Wide Web was developed by Tim Berners-Lee in 1989. And then 1991, they went live. They took it live, made it public, made it free. And he created all the HTML, the HTTP, the URLs, all that stuff. And then porn took over.
As it tends to.
And blew the internet up.
Yeah, someone's got to be the catalytic engine to something.
Yeah,
Exactly.
But there's not to digress too much, but there is kind of like the underlying conspiracy of, since it comes from military government and like scientific research facilities, that there was some, kind of unbenevolent, malevolent force behind it. Like, is it manipulation, control, I don't subscribe to that. I think that like they had good intentions with the World Wide Web, and I think if you talk to him or read his interviews, Mr. Berners-Lee, he talks about, he's like, this is not what we wanted. Like,
Yeah.
This is.
You're all terrible, terrible people.
Ruined it for everybody.
This is not what my invention was for. How many times has that happened, though? Where it's like, I made this for this.
Probably most times, I'm not going to lie.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, so many scientific inventions start off and they're like, yes, I have this cure for whatever. And they're like,
save the
we can make a
world,
weapon
and
out of that.
Yeah.
This would go great with Spirit,
Yeah.
Make a cocktail out of this. Like, that's supposed to be for
Not
that.
supposed to be for that. No.
Exactly.
Don't drink that.
So then you got the World Wide Web, the 90s, and then mid to late 90s, you start to get the forums, the talk forums, the early stages of social media, and then which started off late 90s, but really early 2000s, or like Friendster, MySpace.
I had like AOL Instant Messenger.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
The
And
late,
there
late
was
90s.
late 90s, yep.
Yeah.
And email has its start in like the 80s with like France had Minotaur, which was the early version of email, and but you go on, but really the the early 2000s I say is when it became more mainstream and kind of everyone was really jumping on social media.
Yeah.
And then with the invention of the iPhone and other smartphones in 07, 08 and then the 2010s, and then being able to have the applications on your phone made it so much more of a day-to-day check-in thing.
For
where
sure.
I was talking to you guys before the show, I feel like before I had a smartphone, it was something I would only do if I was on my laptop or at somebody's computer. I would purposely go to I didn't even have Wi-Fi for a while, and I would just go to a cafe and plug in for a couple hours, and then I was done with it.
Yeah.
But once I got a smartphone, it's like, oh, you're constantly on it.
Yep.
And I think that's the beginning of the brain rot.
Oh, for sure.
It depends on how you use it, though, right? I mean,
Yes.
because I initially used my smartphone to find information all the time. And I still kind of do that, but at the same time, I'm doom scrolling Facebook
and I
and
think
Instagram.
there is different aspects of it. So, for those that don't know, brain rot is kind of I would say a Gen Z term. Maybe even younger. But it refers to like the negative effects and overexposure and kind of brain fog and brain fatigue from being online too much.
Yeah, just like constant dopamine kind of.
Yep, exactly. And there's different beliefs. There's, some scientists say, oh, this is really bad. This is bringing down, the IQ of the next generations. It's creating mental health issues. But then there's the flip side where there are other researchers and scientists who are saying this is not the case and that there hasn't been full enough studies on the impact of social media. It hasn't been around long enough.
Can it be both, though?
It could be both. It could totally be both. And I think it's like any tool, it's how you use it, like you just said, right? If you're strictly, doom scrolling and only looking at like stupid videos, it could probably dumb you down.
Yeah.
But if you're using it to read online
Or
and
just kind of
research and stay connected to other people, I mean, I think that's one of the best aspects. The only reason I got on Facebook originally was because when I was traveling out in Europe, everyone there was already on Facebook. They were like, MySpace is dead kind of before the US. So I was like, okay, this is a great way to keep in touch with everyone. And, and as that platform changed or evolved or devolved or whatever you say, it became something more political and social and kind of manipulative. There still are the aspects of here's some pictures of my family.
Yeah,
here's
like
our
updates
trips
from life, whatever.
Yeah, but then there's so much other factors at play. There's like
Well, just the way like social media is now, it like turned bad in the last 2 or 3 years. Where like I go on Facebook and it's like nobody that I know. It's just a bunch of suggested pages and just like random stuff it wants to throw at me, like AI generated recipes and stuff. Like it's really weird now what passes for content. But that's always like the last 12 to 15 years, I feel like, has been some sort of like trial and error in how to create content, and now we have the computers doing it for us.
Right.
And I wonder too if it's there's a mix of the whole, being addicted to something online and not doing anything else, but also, where capitalism ruins everything, right? Where, like, it was a good idea at the time, like, because you think probably, Zuckerberg and Tom from MySpace, like, they didn't think we'd be where we are now.
No,
At the time, they're like, oh, this is a good way to stay connected to people you went to college with or other friends.
Yeah, link up, like make plans for parties and like all that kind of,
Yeah, like you were saying earlier, it was more of a kind of life experience thing. Like,
like
who's
augments
doing
your
what.
real life versus like becomes like nowadays it's a lot more like, oh, this is like your whole life versus like augmenting your outside day-to-day life.
Yeah. And I think that part of it is because of the money. You know, where once they saw, whoa, wait, we can make money from this. You know, it started to change because you remember, like,
They'll use it to influence election.
that too. I mean, you know, you have, and from every angle too. You know, you get like foreign actors trying to influence, you know, our elections. We're trying to influence other elections, you know, in other countries. But then there's like just corporations who have had decades and generations of experience with advertising and social influencing and, you know, engineering kind of marketing and branding through, you know, what they knew already through doing TV advertising and billboards and magazine ads, to now you have a billboard, a digital billboard in your pocket 24/7.
Yep.
You know, that, you know, supposedly doesn't listen to what we say, but you know, but if you go on, there's constantly, like you were saying before the show, is you mentioned it, you know, a team jersey you wanted to check out, and then all of a sudden you're getting ads for it on your social media, though, right? Like, not just you pop onto Google.
Well,
and
even
pop on
the
a search
recipe
engine.
thing too. I've mentioned like things I've wanted to cook, and it's like now I've got an AI generated recipe in front of me, and like that's not right.
Yeah.
No.
And and then it's. I was watching something where it's a documentary on Netflix called The Shopping Conspiracy, and they have some CEOs from Nike and I think Amazon and some other ones who don't work with them anymore, and they were talking about like, yeah, we have totally manipulated you guys. Like, we have, you know, we know exactly how to market to you so that you think you bought that product on your own,
Right,
But
but-
really, we got you to do it.
Yep.
You know, so
Hey, I will admit that I've eaten McDonald's after seeing a McDonald's commercial. Where it's
Oh,
like,
you-
hey, you know what?
yeah,
Hit the
for
spot
sure.
right now, and I got $2. Let's do this.
It's like, all right, you know,
Yeah.
that salty like taste in the back of you're like,
Yeah.
You're like, I haven't had
kinda-
a Coca-Cola in a while.
Yeah,
you
and
know
it's a
what I'm
little,
saying?
it's a
It'll-
little different there,
yeah.
you know. So you kind of gotta.
But I don't know if there's been like something really deep where they've picked at me where it's like, why did I get into Liverpool? You know what I'm saying? Or like maybe they planted that in my brain like, you know, like 15 years ago, you know?
yeah. One, it's hard to say because you don't really know, especially if it's just kind of small products, you know, or anything that you might just use day to day that maybe you don't really need,
Right.
but you had a thought to buy it or you thought it was really cool, but like, why? Right? You know, was it? Now, don't get me wrong. This is something that has existed for a while. Like,
Yeah.
we've all kind of been influenced. Like I said, this is how they've been doing for years.
I was gonna say that's like the you know, like you need this brand new knife.
Yes,
and, you know,
exactly,
if you
yeah.
buy this, call now and you'll get yeah.
Exactly. So, you know, but it's just now it's so much more in your face because it's so constant.
Yeah.
And even when you try to ignore it, what I hate is when I just look up something that I'm not really interested in buying, but I'm just curious about it.
Right.
And then all of a sudden
It's
it's,
like
oh, hey,
constantly
don't you want to
recommended
look?
to
Yeah.
you all the
Don't you want to?
time.
It's like, no, I just wanted to see what it looked like.
Yeah.
I heard about it and I just wanted to see, you know, the image of it. Now it's, oh, you really want to buy this? Hey, you want to try shopping for this again? And get these notifications. I'm like, I just wanted to look.
Yeah,
see it.
I'm just doing research, you know.
Yeah.
Spend $150 and you get free shipping.
Yeah,
Just window
exactly.
browsing. Just
yeah.
window browsing. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. Sign up for our credit card. Get it free right now.
Well, you know.
The little pop up that's like spin the wheel and you get 100% off or whatever, you know, like
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
always-
exactly.
Like
yeah.
I don't want the wheel.
Yeah,
like can the
always
wheel go away?
windows.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that's the other thing, too. You get a lot of people, I think we're savvy enough to know not to click on certain things, but you get a lot of people that aren't.
Yeah.
And, you know, they see something and they think it's legit and they trust it and they click on it. Now you got a virus in your phone or you got your, you know, that's like a lot of social engineering is, you know, cyber hackers will figure out ways to manipulate people in that context to get their information, you know, and then, you know, identity theft and sort of fake, you know, bank accounts, whatever. But there's all these different aspects to it that you get so like drawn in. And I think that's, you know, part of the brain rot thing where you just kind of like, well, I was reading one article said the difference between, you know, what we were just talking about with like old advertising and TV shows and, you know, seeing billboards is that they ended, right? Like you'd see a commercial and it was done. If you want, you know, turn off the TV, you had like, there was a finality to it.
Right.
Where with doom scrolling, with social media, it's constantly going.
Yeah.
You
'Cause
know?
it's like in your pocket, like literally at any moment you can just like pull it out and just like just check when you're like on a train, like waiting for a bus, like waiting for anything to happen. You got 4 minutes, like, all right, let's just like scroll and just see what happens.
Oh yeah.
And then you're just
Yeah.
like, constantly like,
And it's easy to get locked in for hours because
Oh,
it
yeah.
constantly
Oh.
changes. You refresh, you see
it's-
something new, and then
bad.
that
It's so
video
easy.
brings you to this.
I hate
It's
when you
so
see
easy.
something and you want to go back to it and it refreshes.
oh, that's
that
also,
too, yeah.
it's a tragedy. Oh,
But then, like,
what
you
could have
get
been?
distracted by the new thing.
Yep,
yeah.
exactly. And then but is it bad or is it? That's
Right.
that's kind of where we're at right now. Especially, I think when we look at younger kids who we were talking about before the show, who grow up with an iPad in their face since they were like 2 years old,
Yeah.
right? Now, I grew up with a TV in my face since I was 2 years old. Okay, I mean, I don't put any blame on my parents or anything, but I think at that time,
Yeah, it's just
it
kinda
was
how
it was a great babysitting tool.
Yeah.
'cause they had to do-
watching that idiot box again.
well, I think they kind of liked it because he could put me there and be like
That's it, yeah.
hypnitized and like, all right, we can go do some
all right,
things.
Yeah, he's sedated. He's fine.
And I think it's very similar now. You can give the iPad. Kids throwing a tantrum or whatever.
for
give them
sure.
that, and they're
Chill
quiet.
him out.
But we don't know the effects of it. Now there are, like I said, there are different studies. In my mind, I just personally think it's bad, but maybe that's my own opinion, right? Because I was reading this one study. It was by Oxford. What's his name? Andrew Piersbilski. He's a professor of human behavior and technology at Oxford, and they did a study with like 12,000 kids or 12,000 people, and where I just had it, 2023. They looked at data from almost 12,000 children in the U.S. aged between 9 and 12 and found no impact from screen time on functional connectivity, which is how different parts of the brain kind of talk to each other.
Okay.
He also measured with MRI scans while the children completed tasks. They also found no negative impact on the children's self-reported well-being. He said, if you publish a study like we do, where we cross our T's, we dot our I's, we state our hypotheses before we see the data, we share the data and the code, those types of studies don't show the negative effects that we expect to see. Because he was saying is that it all comes from a... basically, I think it was like in 2005, somebody wrote an article or there was a headline about email causing people to have, less brain function.
Interesting.
And that when he looked into it, they couldn't even find the original article. Like it might not even have been a real article.
Just kind of Mandela effect. Maybe.
Yeah. Or like somebody, heard it from somebody and they created a headline, kind of early clickbait stuff. And I think that's part of the problem too, in some of the other things I was looking up is what travels faster through the internet is misinformation.
Yeah,
It travels 6 times faster over the internet than truth or what we perceive as true because it takes a longer time to dissect something that's scientifically verified than just a headline or a clickbait or a quick video of something, right? So you see something and people's first reaction, especially if you get somebody kind of like riled up, that gets them more engaged and want to share it even more than something that's like you have to read a whole article about and no one wants to do.
Because you're just like, oh, I just found like the secret thing to like whatever. Like I gotta like it's kind of like it's enticing. It's cool.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we're going to take a quick break. If you want to give us a call, hit us up at 773-763-WCPT. That's 773-763-9278. We'll be back with more Think Theory Radio right after this. Welcome back to Dead Internet Theory Radio. I mean, Think Theory Radio. Radio. And today we were discussing social media, brain rot, and we will get into the Dead Internet Theory in a little bit. But first, let's take a phone call. We got Jim in Chicago. What's going on, Jim?
Hi, guys.
Hey, how you doing, Jim?
The CDC, when they did exist, before the pandemic, between January to March, admitted that they dropped the ball. My point is, Woodward and the president discussed this disease in February.
Yeah.
And he admitted to Woodward that it was a deadly disease. Now, I wish I would have heard that because I went into self-preservation mode around the 12th of March.
Yeah.
Now, I walked around for a good almost 2 months and 2 weeks when this disease was out. Now, if the internet worked properly, a 10-year-old kid down the street could have told me, hey, there's a disease coming,
Right.
airborne disease. But that was they really dropped the ball there. The point is, they admitted it, but now we don't even have a CDC anymore, so it's just a moot point. But if it worked properly, think about it. If you would have got if the whole world would have got an alert, I don't care who it was, alert anybody, any human being that's got the device, they can warn their family at least. They probably, God knows how many lives it would have saved. Anyway, you guys have a good night. Thanks. Thank you.
See you, Jim.
Yeah, and I think that has to do with what we were saying before is how, right before the break, was that false information or misinformation travels faster on the internet than anything else.
But Jim kind of also brings up like maybe a political element of it too, where maybe they just don't want to tell you things like, you know, cause even he didn't even bring up like the warning systems for like the flood in Texas.
Right.
How they were going to try and create a system for that. And, you know, so it's,
but even that,
along with brain rot, there's also like these levels where they're also like trying to kind of hurt us into
not share some things or
and then I think that's kind of the social engineering aspect of it too. You know, like if you look at, I mean, it's kind of a perfect example of how, you know, obviously we all, you know, depending on the side you're on, but we all believe that at that time, you know, the way COVID spread and everything and all the misinformation around it, that was a perfect storm of social media and, you know, kind of political and social manipulation, you know, because you had originally it was, you know, it's a Democratic hoax. No, but it is real. Oh, I'm making the best vaccine ever, but you don't really have to take it because it's not real anyway. Oh, by the way, you know, like it's just like constant, like, and people, you know, 5G caused it, you know, and people are destroying 5G towers because they think it's, you know, creating the pandemic. And then the same thing similar to happen with the flood. After the flood, there's some guys destroyed a news radar, or I mean a news antenna. Do you know what I'm talking about down in Texas?
I don't. I'll have to
some like white militia destroyed like a small, you know, like KSMX TV. Destroyed their like satellite antenna because they believed it was their weather radar. They destroyed their weather radar because they believed that it was manipulating the weather.
That's crazy. That's
you know, because I'm sure because of something they read on the internet.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's just the weather machines. They did it to us.
Exactly. And
an Oklahoma man has been charged for allegedly vandalizing a weather radar at an Oklahoma City news station, according to a release from the state's attorney general. July 19th, 39-year-old Anthony Tyler Mitchell had allegedly tampered with the power supply of a Next Gen Live radar at KWTV, also known as News 9. Is that? Yeah.
I believe, and it was
that
right
sounds
after
like a
the
big
flood.
one though. That's not like a podunky. That sounds like Oklahoma City.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
But I mean, it wasn't like, you know, they didn't go attack like the CNN headquarters.
No, but still,
a local station, but
still in Tornado Alley. You know, to mess with the station, but whatever.
Why would that matter?
I'm going to take it into my own hands.
Exactly.
Yeah. But that happened right after the floods, and I'm sure it was probably fueled by something read on social media that, you know.
Can't trust them.
Yeah. No. Well, and it's funny, too, because, like, well, I remember, you know, in Trump's first term, I mean, the weather manipulation thing has been around a long time, right? But in Trump's first term, it was all like,
not trusting the weatherman.
Yeah. And then when Biden was in, it was all like, oh, the Democrats, like all the, you know, the wildfires and everything and hurricanes controlled, the Democrats controlling, manipulating the weather.
Right.
But then even when Trump's back in power, somehow the Democrats are still controlling the weather.
Yeah. Like, it's because they're the deep state, you know, even when he has everything, it's not, you know, really him.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
they can't even run a decent campaign. I don't know how they're manipulating the weather.
Let's take another phone call. We got a mystery caller from
we know this caller.
Who is this?
It's got to be our Lombard guy.
Yes, it's Tim Lombard.
That's right, Tim.
How's it going, Tim? What's going on, Tim?
Oh, pretty good. I'm gonna bring up how the internet did help during COVID.
Okay.
All right. There is somewhere in the People's Republic of China a scientist who will never know their name sent to the CDC the complete genome of the COVID virus. And then within a weekend, within 48 hours, we had the vaccine. Someday, when when the People's Republic of China becomes a democracy, well, someday, we'll know the scientist who did this deserves a Nobel Prize. They defied their government, and they gave the West the genome to develop a vaccine quickly.
That's wild.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I don't think I knew that is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
That's what happened. Some scientist in China defied their government and sent the CDC the genome over the internet by email.
I wonder if it's I forget her name, but they call her like the Bat Lady. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about. Oh, they're at the Wuhan viral lab.
Yeah.
We don't know who this scientist was.
Yeah.
And we thank probably that this saved our life.
Right.
Yeah.
if they ever revealed who it was.
And I think that's a good point of what the internet is supposed to be.
Yeah, true. Just like able to like,
I mean, that was like what, Tim Berners-Lee says, like, when we invented the World Wide Web, it was for,
like,
for people to communicate and spread scientific information.
Exactly.
And,
collaboration and, all that.
Not to, share pictures of shrimp Jesus.
Right. As cool as he is. And he is very cool.
But to think about it, how many more people would have died if that genome had not been released?
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure. No, that's a good point.
So, I thought, great show, guys.
Thanks a lot, Tim.
Thanks for dropping that knowledge, Tim. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we love the good side of things and the flip side.
I love it. I use the internet every day.
Let's take another phone call.
Steve from the Gold Coast.
Steve from the Gold Coast. What's going on, Steve?
Yes, good afternoon. And I just tuned you guys in, so I thought it was an interesting topic. Just sitting in the car here.
Yeah.
And I think that you made a really important point with regard to exactly the role of the internet and now social media and so forth. I mean, study after study has demonstrated that, what used to be considered fringe conspiracy theories and belief systems have now exploded. It's amazing the number of people who now actually consider it possible, either believe in it or that it is possible that the world is flat. Yeah. I mean, that's just amazing in 2025 that there is this debate going on. It's not a debate in sane circles, but there are people who believe it. And it's like so many other things. So obviously there's an industry out there. There are people making huge profits. I mean, Alex Jones at the height of his career was bringing in about $15 million a month.
Yeah.
I mean, this sells. And, anybody who knows his history, the kind of ridiculous nonsense that he was pushing, I mean, you really have to be out there to believe it. But there's an audience for it. Why? Because, the complexity and nuance that is reality, no one wants to talk about that. No one wants to talk about all the things that are involved. Instead, it's the guy behind the curtain. It's just somebody, some nefarious power or organization or whatnot. That explains everything that's wrong in your life and in society. And if we could just uncover these people, we could all live happily ever after. Well, I wish the world worked that way, but it doesn't.
Yeah, and I think it's like, we were talking about with social media and how you can get misinformation will spread, 6 times faster than facts. And it's because the clickbait aspect, the kind of sensationalism of a conspiracy headline, if it's, NASA lies, and the earth is flat, it's a much more intriguing and interesting thing than, hey, that, Aristophanes and, ancient Greek, figured out that the earth was round 100 years ago using these sticks, and you can go do this too. And people are like, I don't want to read all about that. Like they're manipulating us.
Absolutely. I mean, probably the biggest conspiracy theory of the 20th century was the assassination of JFK. Now, you could write a book, as a number of people have, basically debunking all of the conspiracy theories, because, frankly, they don't stand up. But nobody buys that book. Instead, they buy all of the books that claim that, oh, my God, this definitively proves it was the CIA. No, it was the mob. No, it was the KGB. Well, apparently you people are all on different pages because, you've all got different suspects. But all of you have something other than what likely happened, taking place. Because if you actually printed that book, very few people would buy it. So again, it sells. I think it's a shame that we live in this world, and it's only going to get worse. You know, if you have anybody who's over 50, 60 years old in your life, they are really susceptible to, you know, these fake, shall we say, products that are produced for social media and other things. And it's only getting worse because the technology is more and more sophisticated. So now, you know, you can have anybody, a political candidate, somebody in the public eye, and they claim that, hey, here's a video of them saying or doing something. Look, somebody sent me this. Okay, that's fake. That's AI. And unfortunately, if you're not sophisticated enough to know it or to know how to check on it, you know, to run it past something, then you can easily be fooled. And then what do? Some of those people go out and vote. And that's the frightening thing.
Yeah, no doubt. All right. Thanks for the call, Steve.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's funny thing is he just reminded me of I actually got onto a flat Earth video one time.
Oh yeah,
because I was walking around in Wicker Park, and I happened to have and this fits in kind of what he was talking about because, you know, and I'm open minded. I'll talk to people about whatever, right? But I had a book with me, Dan Hooper. It was the first time he was going to come on the show, and I had his book about the origins of the universe and the beginning of the Big Bang and everything. And these guys have a flat Earth, and I'm like, okay, I'll talk with you guys, and they're filming me the whole time. And so I asked them, you know, so I told them, look, I have a book about Big Bang, the start of the universe, and how things formed. And they're like, oh, well, that's a good story, you know. And I'm like, okay, well, what do you have, you know? And they give me this little like 3-page pamphlet that wasn't even like a full. It was like a little small, like the size of a business card.
That's all you need.
You know, with YouTube links printed in there, right?
Yeah.
And like
That's
3
awesome.
questions of like, why does this kind of eclipse happen or something like that? You know, and I told them, I said, look, here's a book. This is one book out of thousands of books written about why science works, you know, and everything. And you're giving me a 3-page pamphlet with no real information in it, you know? And they're, well, you know, but we're not trying to like change your mind, you know, we're just trying to like, you know. But what I've noticed a lot of them,
Sounds like you are, yeah,
exactly. But it's that simplisticness. They want something that's, they don't want to do the research, you know. They don't want to read a full book on something that will deter their, you know, their mindset, or, you know, it's the whole, you know, cognitive dissonance and you know, bias. You know, what's the term? On social media, it's used a lot, confirmation bias.
Right. Yeah. Okay,
right.
Yeah, for
you know,
sure.
where that's another, you know, back to the whole brain rot and social media manipulation thing. It's like those are 2 key aspects to it. You have like the cognitive dissonance and confirmation bias, right? So it's like people want to stay, you know, in disbelief of what everyone else believes, and they want to believe what they believe, so they look for things to prove what they believe and not things to
Disprove
exactly
what they're already like,
you know,
preconceived to, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's
You know, but it is, but at the same time, you know, I don't want to get too doom and gloom with it, because I think, you know, one, like Tim brought up a good point about, you know, how the access to information can get around the world in seconds. I do believe that if you utilize it correctly, there is tons of good information. I mean, I think like you can train the algorithms to give you good things.
Oh, for sure.
You know, I mean, on my phone is a Android, so I get like a lot of, I have one aspect of it is like the Google page, where it just sends me headlines, you know?
Yeah.
But from all the stuff that I research, it's usually articles about archaeology or, you know, physics, astrophysics, different, you know, medicine, different kind of things. And it's funny because the Google will show me all that stuff, but then when I go on Facebook, all the reels and everything that it suggests to me are like super hyper conspiratorial, you know, like all this, like, and now it is like increasingly more with AI. You're getting all these different kind of AI images and videos. But what does give me a little hope, I love going into the comment section of all of those and just reading what people, and there is like enough people on there that
are like calling it out or whatever.
Calling it out, and, you know, hey, this is fake, this is, you know, or bringing in the truth of like, hey, I'm a pilot, I've studied the earth is not flat, you know, whatever. But it is interesting how many, you know, why does the algorithm in Facebook send me those kind of things.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, it's like it works to some degree, obviously, because else they wouldn't do it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh.
We got to take a quick break. If you want to give us a call, hit us up, 773-763-WCPT, and we'll be back and talk about the dead internet theory part of this discussion right after this.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
Welcome back to Think Theory Radio. Today we're talking about social media, social engineering, predictive programming, brain rot. I think I just like saying brain rot.
Brain rot.
Sounds like a horror film.
Yeah, it
Brain
does.
rot.
It does. Like 50s.
Dude, have you seen Brain Rot? That movie's crazy. Yeah.
And for the older heads that don't know, there's brain rot slang.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Oh, wait, you were going over some of this with Henry before the show. And it was kind of funny because all of it went over my head. And he was like, oh, that's this, that's that. So
What's looks maxing?
Oh, well, that's like, you're just trying to like present yourself the best way. So you're just like optimizing, you get a haircut, you work out, you start eating better, dress better, trying to get the ladies. You're trying to,
What about mewing?
Oh, okay. Well, that's when you like, I don't know how to describe it. You like put your tongue on like the roof of your mouth. So it kind of like gets rid of the like underneath your chin kind of thing. It like makes your face like kind of like a little more like model-esque, I guess.
Not the mosquito again.
Oh, wait.
Do you know this one?
I don't know if I do.
Supposedly this is a term used in memes to express irritation about a repeated
Oh, wait.
annoyance.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's my millennial showing up. Oops.
What about-
millennial guys? I swear.
What about schlag?
Schwag.
See, I'm hitting you with the alpha stuff. It's
Yeah, this is the
schlag.
alpha. This is the alpha. These guys are too young for me.
Criticize or disapprove of someone or something in a nasty way.
Okay.
All right, that's enough for now.
Okay.
Although Skibbity.
Oh, Skibbity? Oh, I love Skibbity.
you don't know Skibbity? You didn't know Skibbity?
I didn't know that one.
That means good, right? I don't remember. Is good or bad? I don't care.
Okay, so there's
I don't care.
All right, there's a lot of lore, but this could be a whole episode in and of itself. Let me tell you. The kids love Skibbity.
Right. It's funny too because some of these words are like they're old, like sus. I mean, we were using that back in the day.
But they use it different. Like that, like sus always used the like you suss out information from someone.
Right.
Not in the hip
But
hop realm.
someone's
Sus
suspect,
was always
sus,
suspect.
Yeah.
Oh, they love sus.
Yeah. Well, that's how it's like.
But that's old.
Yeah. It's just a goodie,
Yeah, they stick around.
Yeah.
Some of them.
Yeah.
I like Delulu.
Delulu. Oh yeah, that's a good one. I'd be Delulu sometimes.
All right, now, so we were talking about social media and how it's rotting our brains and it's making us buy a bunch of crap that we don't need.
Say words that are totally unnecessary.
It kind of reminds me of, you remember 1984 in Newspeak? So in 1984, Newspeak was, they wanted to dumb down the populace, so they were creating words that were smaller, and you could say less words in a sentence.
Yeah, and like multiple things mean one word, so it kind of like dumbs down the vocabulary of everybody.
Which is kind of like some of this.
It's a kind of, there's maybe a little bit of overlap.
A little bit. But this all leads me and us to the dead internet theory. Dun, 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 dun. Which is a conspiracy theory that asserts that now, this, I think it started around 2017, 2016, but no one really knows where it first began online. But there is in 2021, there was a post titled "Dead Internet Theory: Most of the Internet is Fake." It was published on the forum Agora Roads Macintosh Cafe by a user named Illuminati Pirate. And then I guess, claiming to build on previous posts from the different forums and different boards. But it basically asserting that there's like no more people on the internet. Everything you're reading is just from bots. Right. And now, especially with AI. And this was kind of before ChatGPT and the generative AI stuff. Yeah. So now, obviously, we know that there are real people still online.
For sure.
But there is the amount of bots has increased exponentially.
It's crazy.
Yeah, there is. I forget I saw something. It was like the percentage. It's a crazy high percentage of bots on, especially Twitter. You know, to the point we were talking about earlier that like Elon's like, well, hey, to get rid of the bots, we should maybe like charge you guys money to use it. You know, which made my only conspiracy thing is like, was he creating the bots just to get people to pay him? You
create
know,
the incentive and then make a little money.
But it's just, you know, there is an element to it that I can see maybe down the line.
For sure. I mean, bots are like genuinely a problem. Like it creates like any social media interaction with like them, just like it's always negative. It's never fun. Like, you know, it's just always negative.
And I was seeing in one article they were showing people on Twitter posting ads though from like Amazon where you can tell that people were using ChatGPT or something to just create the description of the product. Because and they weren't even paying attention to what they're doing because they didn't even have a description. It just said, this goes against like our standards. And, you know, it's like a picture of a chair. And instead of a description, it was like, this goes against our standards and guidelines. You know, they just like copy pasted whatever it said, which could be, you know, like a bot. And it's like, so if you have like bots talking to bots and not know when they're talking to another bot, right? This is kind of part of the dead internet thing. And as we go on, and I think depending on the popularity of certain platforms, you know, where does it, will it get to the point like, I was reading one article, was just saying, well, the bots, there's bots, but they're used for a certain thing. And it's, you know, there's a lot of like political, social manipulation, but it's not necessarily that everyone on there is AI. But then it made me think, okay, but then Facebook is creating AI profiles on purpose.
Right. Yeah.
And now they have these, you know, AI on Instagram and on Facebook that, you know, they want you to like talk to.
Yep. Yeah.
You know, it's
and
like,
Snapchat and everything. Everything has like an AI like chat bot you can just like talk to for whatever reason.
Exactly. So I could see it at a certain point getting to like, people get sick of it, right? Like, oh my God, all I'm getting is interactions with bots and AI.
Right.
I'm just kind of done with it. But they keep generating these AI profiles, and now you have like AI profiles friending other AI profiles, and they're all just talking to each other.
Yes.
Right.
And you just like check in on that, and you just like see the middle of the interaction of like two bots just talking. You're just like, what is happening?
Yeah, exactly. So what, you know, where does it go from where we are now to that point?
Right.
Like, do you see that happening?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because like the way they are like, they're designed to like drive engagement and stuff like that. And like, I feel like they would just like start engaging with each other. And then like, because they're designed to do that, they just kind of like ceaselessly just engage like constantly or whatever. Yeah.
And I think with social media too, it's interesting. I was reading an article that says now a certain like probably your generation and younger say that it's like 46% get all their news from social media.
I believe that. I honestly, that's like underscoring it. If anything, I feel like, because like I feel like everybody just like gets their feed from like Twitter or Instagram or YouTube, like whatever their social media like media person or whatever that they kind of like, and they kind of get their information from like them or whatever. It's just because I don't know a lot of people my age or younger who's like tuning into like regular news broadcasts or like late night news, kind of anything like that.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, they'll see like highlights of it on like social media later, maybe.
Yeah.
But again, it's on social media then.
Well, and that also, I was thinking about this before the show as well. You know, like CBS just canceled Steve Colbert, Late Night with Steve Colbert, right? And you get a lot of other shows and things are being canceled, and and a lot of, you know, the possibility of like PBS losing their funding and all these different. But at the same time, I think a lot of older people don't realize that the younger generation doesn't even watch that stuff anyway.
Right.
You know, like you said, they might view a clip of it or something later, but most of them are getting their content from other creators and other producers that are online that are not on cable TV or on these, you know, big old networks.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so we're at a kind of this paradigm shift of it could be the same thing again. It's just a different form. And we're in a kind of fear stage of, well, we're so used to this being around. We're so used to, I grew up on Sesame Street. I grew up watching PBS. I grew up, with, late night and David Letterman and all these different shows. And if it's going away, it seems like, okay, there's this, some kind of, diabolical scheme behind it.
Right.
Where a lot of younger heads are saying, well, I don't go to that anyway.
Yeah.
So where's the shift? And I think that it happens a lot within media, especially, that we kind of lose touch with what's the new thing to do. Mm-hmm. Right. Where I remember my mom used to work for the Reader, and when people started reading more things online and they weren't really reading a newspaper.
Right.
They were losing,
revenue
and everything. But instead of, hey, maybe we should have got on board with that earlier.
Right.
And been one of the first people to do an online newspaper.
Yeah, break in on a new kind of format or whatever, and kind of become the first to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think there's that kind of we of when you have legacy media and these big corporate.
We've been established for so long, so we couldn't topple to
exactly. Why would we? Who cares about this guy on YouTube talking about whatever?
Literally.
We're not going to do that. We're CBS,
exactly.
we're NBC.
Exactly.
So it's be interesting to see where it goes, as far as how things will change within the landscape of the internet, right? Because I do believe that there is the aspect of, the dead internet theory. I feel like more ties in with social media, right? Not the entirety of the internet.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could totally see, certain, especially kind of Facebook. I feel like a lot of younger generation think it's for old people anyway nowadays, and that's kind of, people are kind of losing interest in it, and I think that's why they're really trying to suggest all these crazy conspiracy reels and trying to keep you in.
Right.
And then you have, TikTok, Snapchat, and these kind of other platforms that are more geared towards quick videos. Like
instant, dopamine, gratification, whatever,
Exactly. Yeah. Right. So can we change it, or is it changing on its own to the point where you can still find relevant factual information through YouTube and through social media and not have to worry so much about losing the access to verified information, from news sources or whatever?
Right. Or experts in those kind of specific fields or industries or.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's right now, I think we're just in this kind of paradigm shift. We don't know, right?
Yeah, it's kind of definitely transitionary, there's growing pains and people are kind of figuring out what's working, what's actually demonstrably terrible. And it's definitely, we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see, especially for the people growing up in it now, what they're going to be like in 20 years or whatever when they're
exactly. And also to the technology. I mean, we're still kind of, laptops and PCs and everything are basically old school in a way. I mean, they're modernized and everything. Smartphones are now, you're going on almost 20 years old.
That's what I was going to say. Even smartphones are 20 years old now. And they're better, they're more efficient. They're faster, whatever. But they've been kind of ever since the iPhone, it's just that's been what a smartphone kind of is.
Yeah.
And so there's definitely room for something.
Exactly. And we don't know how will that change. I think about it just, you drive around and you see so many people looking at their phone, driving, not paying attention. And I kind of think, well, maybe it would be better if we all had, the glasses, or Google Glass or whatever, because at least you'd be looking ahead instead of constantly looking down at your phone.
Down in the corner.
And so whatever the new technology will be, because I don't think it will be smartphones forever.
No, yeah.
It will be something like that. Either some kind of digital contact lens or glasses or
instead of a watch, you've got the forearm band.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Yeah, some kind of holographic thing.
Yeah, it just extends out. Yeah.
Or you might even have maybe an earpiece that projects out into front of your face.
That would also be kind of cool.
Doing the Minority Report.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I could totally see that some kind of like projection, but that only you can see through like a contact lens.
Right.
And you can manipulate in real time.
Yeah. Like, I definitely think like human like augmentation kind of stuff is probably like, you know.
Yeah, they all, I mean, Neuralink is already, they think they just implanted another human with it.
Yep.
And that's, you know, and there's going to, I mean, that's a whole other kind of shift too. Like, we're still just thinking about smartphones and everything. There's going to be, we're already, I mean, you see the robots, like, have you seen like the Coco delivery robots going around?
Yeah.
You know, and you already have like full body. I don't know if you saw the gay robot in California.
Yeah.
You know, running around town. And it's just like it's one of those little like 4 foot tall humanoid robots that can run and walk, but they put like a cowboy hat on it and like the gay flag.
Yeah, he's great.
And it's like running around.
Not hear about this.
Yeah, you got to look up the gay robot. You can find it.
Only in California.
Yeah, but we, you know, but that's is like things are changing so rapidly. It's so hard to predict that. Will there be a dead internet? Will, you know, is the brain rot really a thing?
Right.
You know, and like we were saying earlier, every generation kind of has this belief, especially with technology. You just look.
I'll just find a picture.
Because you know, I was looking up stuff and I read that even Plato, you know, when writing, he believed writing was creating brain rot.
And that's so funny.
Yeah, back then he thought writing is bad. It's going to make people have less
like
memorization.
Right. Oh,
you know, and you think
funny.
we think of writing as a very, you know,
good way to kind of like log everything and like reinforce like
I mean, it's a foundation of like human society.
Oh, absolutely.
You know? And he was like, this is bad.
Yeah, come on, guys.
We
Come on,
probably
guys.
shouldn't do this.
It's a little crazy, a little radical.
The gay robot has a name, and it's Rizbot, by the way.
Hell yeah.
Another brain rot term.
There we go. We love it. We love it.
From Charisma, for those that don't know.
That's true. That's where it comes from.
I knew that one.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
All right, we got to wrap up the show. I want to thank everybody for listening and calling in. Hopefully, we didn't rot your brain too much.
You know we did every Saturday at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, at least for an hour. You know, you got to detach for an hour.
Exactly.
We'll be back again next week and every Saturday, 6 to 7 p.m. right here on WCPT 820 Think Theory Radio.